Hello and welcome to Valley Viewpoint. Thank you for joining us today. Have you ever wanted to make a difference in someone's life? My guests today are doing exactly that, only on the other side of the globe. Renee, Terrie, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about Impact Hope and your relationship to it. Let's start with you, Renee.
Sure. I actually just found out about Impact Hope back in October of last year. Impact Hope has been operating since 2015, 2016. Hans and Mindy Tygeson are the founders, and Hans is a friend of mine. Got in touch with me and said, I think you might be interested in something that we're doing. And so I have been working with Hans and Mindy since then. Even though we are in different places of the country, there's a lot. We're obviously working in Rwanda, so we're already working in a different place of the world. But it was exciting to find out about what was happening with Impact Hope, what they've been doing, and there's going to be we have a short video to tell a little bit about that story. But the interest of Hans and Mindy was in finding out about refugee students in Rwanda who needed an opportunity to go to school, and finding out that a large percentage of the refugees there are Adventist. And so what a great opportunity to find a way to send Adventist refugees to Adventist boarding schools there and give them not just an education, but an Adventist education, and find a way to improve the future and the cycle for them to see success in their life.
Okay, well, I think we're going to go to that video right now and see what Impact Hope is doing.
Rwanda has worked hard to recover from the brutal genocide against the Tutsi in 1994, but refugees continue to flood into Rwanda from neighboring Congo. Terrorists often threaten, beat, or kill adults and children as they attempt to escape the turmoil. After decades of war, many children are homeless and missing parents or siblings.
And they say, no, it's a trick, you are not soldier, you. And they put my gun here, they say, no, you should pick out. And in that moment, I remember, I didn't know how to pray, but in my heart, I just knelt it down, then I said, oh please, my God, help me if I escape this place. I should serve you all the time.
My old brothers and sisters are still in Congo, because when the war was broken out, I separated with them. They ran away where I don't know. Until now, I have never seen them.
The number of people fleeing Congo in 2016 surpassed the number of refugees fleeing Syria in the same time period. Yet the world knows little of the current refugee crisis in Rwanda. Now the total number of people in camps is nearly 80,000. These refugees are trapped in desperate conditions in makeshift homes with no running water, sewer, or electricity. The refugees do not own land, so have no way to raise their own food or keep their own animals. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees provides enough for 1 meal per day per person.
It is not a good place for a human being to live.
To find something to eat, something to dress, it is so hard.
The refugees desperately want a way out of the camps, but lack opportunity. Relief organizations offer school in the camps until grade 9. Rwandan high schools are located in the cities, a long ways away from the camps. Often when returning from class, the students find nothing to eat, since the family has already eaten the 1 meal provided. Then the students have to get up early and walk back to school on an empty stomach. Brave girls who walk as much as 5 miles one way risk assault or rape. It happens routinely.
In this life that we live, if you are an educated people,
you cannot get anything.
When we found out that most of the people in the camps were Seventh-day Adventists, yet they had no hope to excel with an education or to get a job, we felt like we needed to do something.
In 2015, the Tygesons started Impact Hope, an organization that sends at-risk refugee youth to safe Adventist boarding schools in Rwanda. This gives the teens a chance for a high school education and also a place to be empowered by hope.
We feel passionate about helping these refugee students because we have been so impacted by them out of their dire situations, the hope and the Christ-centered life that they're living. By helping them, we have been incredibly blessed ourselves.
For most of the graduating refugees, a high school diploma isn't enough to secure a job. In 2017, Impact Hope added a summer trade school program. The summer program teaches permaculture, hairdressing, sewing, plumbing, and electrical. These practical trades equip students with a realistic way to make a living when they graduate, a way to finally break free from the refugee camps.
Impact Hope is making a difference because all of our graduates so far have either received university scholarships for continuing education or they've received employment.
In the first year of the trade program, 350 students attended the summer trade school program. Now, around 600 sponsored students are enrolling in the trade school. Still, more needs to be done.
With a donation of $50 a month, we can immediately take a child out of a camp and place them in a safe, secure boarding school.
A sponsor gives a young person an education and a vocational skill, plus safety and enough to eat. And all that in an environment that will build relationships with Jesus and create a life of service to those around them.
Can you raise your hand?
And there are even more students who need help. Each year, over 10,000 children from the refugee camps miss out on a high school education and the chance to learn a life-changing trade.
Right now, the doors to Rwanda are open, but given their past, we know that those doors can shut. This is the time to do the work in Rwanda.
There are other ways you can help too. You can volunteer, pray, and share with others how students in Rwanda's refugee camps find hope. Visit impact-hope.org to find out more. You can impact hope.
Now, Terrie, I understand that you're a board member of Impact Hope. How did you become associated with Impact, and what is it about Impact that drew you to participate?
Well, I just recently retired from the Oregon Conference as a women's ministry coordinator. And in 2016, our committee was looking for a place to put our offering, and we wanted to go towards women. And I happened to tell this to an office lady, and she said, "Have you heard of Impact Hope?" I called Mindy and I said, "We want our offering to go and help girls." And she said, "I'll be right over." And as all this was taking time, her husband Hans had called her on his return trip and said, "We have 98 girls that need to go to the boarding school. They walk 5 miles to high school and they're violated on the way." So girls don't have the opportunity of education as boys. So that year, women's ministry is totally a God thing. It just blew me away. Raised $74,000 to send these girls to school. And so the next year in 2017, Mindy wanted me to go to Rwanda, and so it worked out I could go with her for the next 2 years. I was there when they started a vocational program for the kids. When the kids go home during summer break, they're starving, because in boarding school they get 3 meals a day. When they go home, they get 1, and they live in a little hut with their siblings. So Mindy started, and Hans, the vocational school where they taught sewing and tailoring, plumbing, electricity. They also did culinary and permaculture, where the girls and guys learned to gardening. And plumbing and electricity allows the boys, and they have used it in their schools to improve the plumbing and electricity, which really needs it. And the sewing helps the girls sew and sell things too for their school. And the students are very proud of their work, and they're very loving, and they're very grateful because, like I said, at school they have ate their own bed, clean clothes, food, and they get used to that. I was fortunate to visit a refugee camp and experience firsthand the conditions that they lived in. And we had a meeting with the parents, and they gave gratitude to Impact Hope for choosing their children to go to school. And one father got up and said, "We did not know you were coming today." And there's 6 of us. He said, "If we would have known, we would have started saving food for you last week to give you a meal." And that totally broke my heart, yes, to realize how much we eat, how much we throw away, and they get one meal, and he wanted to share a meal with us. So I love Impact Hope. The kids have won my heart. They love God. They're grateful. So many came up and thanked me for being in Impact Hope, that they could go to school.
Now, when you said you went for 2 years, you don't mean that you lived there continuously for 2 years, right?
No, 2 summer programs.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 summer programs.
They're about 4 weeks long.
Yes, yes.
Most of their break time.
So you've been there for a couple of months anyway. What was the culture like? You've mentioned that students who don't have this opportunity live in a small hut. They get one meal a day. What are the living conditions of the people like around there?
In the refugee camps?
In the camps.
Yeah. They're just huts lined up, mud huts, metal roofs. I did go into one hut. It was very dark. The mother was in a wheelchair. There was one bed, and then they had a little curtain, and then there was another bed. And I've been told that the siblings all sleep together. There may be 2 or 3, maybe more, in a bed. And it's amazing how clean they look, you know, in the those conditions. But
no running water,
right,
no electricity.
Right.
1 meal a day is what they're provided.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the living conditions that these children would otherwise be living in and what ages are being served by Impact Hope. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Valley Viewpoint. If you are just joining us, my guests are Renee Harms and Terrie Grieble, and we're talking about the conditions in Rwanda. How do people make a living there? How much money do they make?
So in the refugee camps, the refugees are provided just about under 30 cents a day for their family.
For the family?
For the family. And there's no running water, as I said, no electricity. They can perhaps find work, their own work, in the camp or right outside the camp if there's a town nearby. A lot of walking is involved with that, of course. So a couple things that Impact Hope is able to, how we're able to impact that. One is when the students go to school. So these are boarding schools. There is school in the camp for them, and historically it's been up to 9th grade only. So we're seeing kids from 10th grade. And so the boarding schools, there are 3 boarding schools that are available and nearish to the camps. So students are 10, 11, 12th grade. when they are at the camp, as Terrie mentioned, they're getting 3 meals a day. They have a place their own bed to sleep in. And their family is still getting the same amount of assistance from the refugee camp. So it is also assisting the family because the kids are at school getting fed and the family has a little bit more that way. The other thing that Impact Hope, the other part of what we are now moving into, this is the 4th year of full operation of Impact Hope. And what we are seeing now is education is fantastic, and the kids are excited to be at a school that's a Christian school, an Adventist school, where they're safe and secure and well fed and getting an Adventist education. What happens after that? So the next step that we are working on, that we're working on now, is along with the vocational training program that we offer, which currently is not a certified program by the government, but still gives them skills that they can use in the camp. But there are government-run vocational schools throughout the country that we have visited. We were just there, I was just there in Rwanda, and there are 3 and 6 and 12-month opportunities for students to gain a vocational training certificate. So we are looking now at how we can start sending, through application, through qualifying for this as well, sponsoring students to go to 3 or 6 month vocational training, which would give them certificate that's official, as well as get them in touch with employers in the country as well, because employers come to the school and they are able to make those connections there, just like it would be here in the States. So that's the next step that we are working on now, and entrepreneurship is taught in those vocational schools as well, providing the skills, the training to start their own small business, either on their own or with other students, that will help them earn a living and continue to break that cycle of poverty that is hard to escape from in the refugee camps.
Now you talk about these students as though they're in high school or beyond because they're able to get jobs when they finish your program. What ages, or what's the age span of the children that Impact Hope is assisting?
So they are 15 to 20 years old. Some of these students are older because they haven't had the opportunity of education, but need that opportunity. So they're about 15 to 20 years old.
And what specifically are they trained to do? What kind of jobs or skills can they learn?
Mm-hmm. So as Terrie mentioned, in our training camps, as well as at these vocational schools, hairdressing, maintenance, plumbing, electrician, construction, computer, information technology. There are different specialties at the different schools that are offered. Permaculture is one that we've done at the vocational training camp. So trades that they can use on their own in any place. Culinary arts, hospitality, working in the hospitality industry. Those are some others.
So they go into these areas to effectively break this cycle of poverty that they're living in.
Yeah, exactly. We want to give an opportunity to, as I said, education of course, and also what happens after that. What is their opportunity after that? Being in a refugee camp, the opportunities are slimmer, narrower. So what can we do to help give them opportunity to grow their own success as well? We actually, when we were there in March, we visited a former Impact Hope student who had done culinary arts training and just started his own bakery. So he has his own small business. It's 2 rooms. He's selling baked goods as well as opening it up to other meals as well, and is doing well, has actually employed somebody else. So it was exciting to see that. His name is Shikuru, and it was exciting to see what a student had done, had the hope that he gained through having sponsorship through Impact Hope to get his education, that continued on to motivate him with his faith as well to build a business. And so that's really exciting, and that's what we want to see for these kids.
Now, Terrie, you've been there a couple of times. How large are these refugee camps, and can you give us any insight as to why people are coming there, why they have to live that way?
There's 4, I believe, refugee
6
camps. There's 6? Okay. I only went to 1, but there's 6. Yeah. They're huge. They're on a mountainside. I couldn't tell you how many people, but they're huge. Most of them come from the Congo. I believe probably some from Uganda as well, but the Congo, because of persecution, they're being persecuted. I talked to one young boy that told me him and his family were trying to cross the border of the Congo, and a group ahead of them went through the soldiers, and the soldiers took him down to the river and shot him. And this boy witnessed it, and he said, "We thought we were next." And they got up to the soldiers and they said, "Go through." And so, it's a miracle, and a lot of these kids have seen stuff like that. So, the genocide was, 25 years ago or so. It's kind of the same thing going on in the Congo as well, and that is why they're there. And that's what Hans and Mindy found out, there's a lot of Adventist people in these camps. And so the people are very gracious, and you think of what they've gone through, and sometimes I think they feel more blessed than we do. Their dependence on God and such. We hope through vocational training these kids can get their whole families out of the camp, when they get started. It's harder to get into the colleges in Rwanda. It's not easy like in the States. They're picked by the government and their scores, and it could take a while. So these vocational skills help them go right to work.
We are seeing, since the beginning, however, that so many of these students are scoring high on the national exams. They're smart kids, and to have opportunity to continue their education in the academies, as well as, some of these students are able to continue on to university with some of them have scored the highest on the national exams in the country. Yes. So these are smart kids.
So is there just no room in the colleges there for these students, or why aren't they going on and studying?
Well, university is expensive.
Oh.
Yeah, university is expensive. And it doesn't always, it's still not necessarily the path that's going to give them an income right away that can help them. So looking at vocational, a skill that they can put themselves to work right away. University isn't out of the question, but may not give them the opportunities right away that vocational training does. And we want to help them continue on in that. And these kids are they're so grateful to Impact Hope and the sponsors for providing this opportunity. I brought some letters. I'm working on sending out letters right now from the students. We gathered these letters when we were there in March. And is it okay if do I have a second to read a little bit from it?
Well, I'd like to get to Terrie, and I'd like to find out, because I understand that you've raised thousands of dollars. How can our viewers support this important ministry?
They can support it by going to Impact Hope and Facebook. They have a website, and I believe that will be on the screen. And You know, $50 a month, you're supporting a child all year long for their schooling and their food, their books, everything. They do get matched money, I believe, from ADRA. So some people say $600 for school, how, you know, but it's wonderful, and that's how they can help. And right now we're trying to help feed them, because like here in the States, they've had to go back to the refugee camps. So now we're wanting to get food to them while they're there. We want to keep taking care of our students through this time as well.
Well, Terrie, Renee, thank you both for joining us for today's Viewpoint. Thank you for joining us for this Viewpoint. If you have an idea or a concept for a future program, why not write to me? Write to me at the station bmt.tv, Valley Viewpoint at bmt.tv, or you can call us 509-529-9149. For Viewpoint, I'm Dan Solis.